Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, just a quick question. Can everybody hear me clearly? Because it looks like my internet is giving me a low signal. And I just want to make sure that I am clearly heard. So, how is everyone? Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Mystery Review episode 56. God, I've been doing these a while. Still enjoy it. But I'm just wondering if everybody else is also enjoying it. LC. What does LC mean? So how is everybody in the chat? I see two people are in the chat, loud and clear. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't speak military shorthand fluently, so. Anyway, episode 56 of the Mystery Reviews. The hints that were given were Dragons and Gerard Butler. This is pretty straightforward, as it is indeed the 2002 film Reign of Fire. Now, this film is basically a forgotten treasure of a film. This movie, a lot of people say, is so freaking bad and whatnot. Honestly, it has some of the best CGI I have ever seen in many scenes. However, there are a couple that fall short. The story is intriguing. It actually takes place, the bulk of it, in 2020. You know, when the world was basically gone to shit because of COVID. Well, in this movie, the world has gone to shit because of dragons. Yeah, they never finished the Star Wars trilogy. It was a frickin' disaster, man. It was all just a frickin' disaster. The movie, or the world, went to shit because dragons decided that they were hungry again. So, without further ado, let's get into this. But before I do, actually, I do want to do a little bit more ado. Smash the like button, share the stream out. It really does help. Share it on whatever social media you are on, Facebook, Twitter, Minds, Getter. It helps. It really does. It also, make sure to smash that like button. Watch as long as possible. This all helps my channel get more noticed and also helps the algorithm with my channel. So yeah. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. This movie has a pretty straightforward cast. And, sorry for the movement of the camera, folks. I'm a stickler for straightening things out. But yes, this movie has a pretty straightforward cast. I got talking points and I'm going to stick to them. 2002, there was a movie about a boy who awoke a dragon during a tunneling project in London. And in 20 years, dragons take over as the dominant species of the planet. The year is 2020. Funny, as that year of apocalyptic significance, or that was a year of apocalyptic significance, and it was very hard in the real world. Directed by Rob Bowman, starring Christian Bale, Gerard Butler, pre-fame, Matthew McConaughey, before he got into all the rom-coms, and Isabella Scorupco, who was in Goldeneye as Natalia Romano, or Natalia, whatchamacallit? Natalia, yeah. The redhead that Bond banged in Goldeneye. Now, the movie begins with a young boy named Quinn, and he is going to his mother's work, which is, she's a tunneler, she's part of a tunneling construction project, and the kid apparently has heard from a school that he wants to get into, and apparently he didn't get the scholarship. Now, he then goes down after his mom gets a report that there was some sort of void that got opened, and one of the workers who doesn't like them or Quinn's mom goes or tells the kid, "Why don't you go have a wee look?" So he does, and he accidentally wakes up something. It happens to be a very large dragon. Now, this problem in this first scene. Now, the mother is played by Alice Krieg Karen, who's well known for her role as the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact, and as well as other roles throughout. I mean, she also played, I believe, in Thor the Dark World as one of the Soulforge users, one of the healers, so to speak. Now, there is an error in the scene where the male spits or shoots its fluid, the nitrous, at Quinn, and he gets knocked back and his eyes are all red because of the fluid. Now, you see the movement of the dragon, but the fluid is off to the side, too far to the side to suggest it was shot from the mouth. Now, also the CGI for that scene was terrible. This movie looked like it updated renders throughout the process of making the film. And so the kid runs and they try getting out. You see the male climbing up the elevator shaft, and in its actions to escape, ends up killing the mother. So then we see the narration, or we get the narration from Christian Bale, who plays the older version of Quinn, and we also see clippings, which I'll explain after the narration. I'll actually give the full narration. The full narration is the following. I've kept this for years, but someday it will be up to you. I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to understand. Knowledge is the only weapon we've got left. In the beginning, it was ignorance that destroyed us. I saw the first, but soon the world saw millions. No one knew how they spawned so fast. They swarmed like locusts, burning everything in their path, driven by one purpose, to feed. Even then, we couldn't believe they were real. Ancient man had made them into myths, but nature made them into something far more terrible. Too late, our scientists discovered their true identity, a species which had burned the dinosaurs to dust, whose ash brought upon the ice ages, who in eons past scorched the world clean of life, then starved, then slept, waiting for the earth to replenish itself, waiting to start their cycle anew. Our weapons shot fire back at them, yet for every one we killed, or every one of them killed, 100 took its place. They seemed invulnerable. We could only look on as our leaders used our greatest arsenals against them. But in the end, we only helped them, till the world burned, till the few that were left fled the cities, found shelter where we could. You have to understand our past because you will decide our future. They're starving now, and they're more dangerous than ever. But we have to go on. We have to outlast them. Only one species is getting out of this alive. And you see the paper clippings during this whole narration from Christian Bale, which is very well done. I mean, this movie's acting was superb. And its writing was as well. The paper clippings cut show that the boy survives an inferno, which was the young Quinn. Fires and infernos are reported the world over. Dragons, or in quotes, dragon sightings confirmed. Also, apparently the Chinese killed over 10,000 of their own citizenry trying to fight the dragons off. They weren't worried about collateral damage. Nukes, or we also see the nukes get launched. Also clippings of ancient dragon pictures from Arthurian folklore and whatnot. And then we cut to the present where Quinn is picking in a tunnel and played by a very fit Christian Bale. This was after American Psycho, before Batman Begins. And they're also building a water blast system in case of dragons coming around. And it's quickly established that Quinn is leading a group of people in a castle. Now, on hearing a report that one of his people, Eddie, has gone psycho, Quinn runs through the place. And this is actually good storytelling right here, because they're actually establishing the whole scenery of, or the whole location of where they are. Northumbridge, England, 2020 AD. And you see that they have a bird scout lookout. They have different areas throughout the castle. This movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Good to see you, Jack of all casuals. Yeah, this movie is 20 years old. 20 years later, this movie is still, in my opinion, one of the best dragon movies out there. A lot of people love to give this movie a lot of shit, and believe me, there's reasons why, but this movie is actually very good. Didn't the guy who played Bashir from DS9? Yes, he is also in this one. He is the radio guy. And yeah. So he finds Eddie, the guy who's gone psycho, loading up, getting ready to go harvesting, which they're getting ready to pick out some vegetables and whatnot from a plant field that they have going. Except that it's too soon. They're not ripe. There's no germination, or there wouldn't be any germination. They wouldn't have anything to plant for next season if they go out and do it now. And there's an argument between them, and then we get introduced to Creedy, who is played by Gerard Butler, pre-fame. And he tells him, he's like, Eddie, we're not going to tell you how to live, but if you go out those doors, you're endangering this community. You go out those doors, you're not coming back in. And they settle it by taking the keys, and you think that would be the end of it. And then you see this nice playfulness with Creedy and Quinn. And we also then see the rendition of The Empire Strikes Back. How they make it into this Shakespearean play for the kids, you know? And they show it's the scene with Luke versus Vader, where Vader takes Luke's hand. And I absolutely love how they do this for the kids. It's like, oh my God, man. And the kids are so worried that Creedy actually lost his hand, so he has to show them. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. And then he says, or then he drops the "I am your father" line, and Creedy playing Luke Skywalker. Oh my gosh, that was just so funny. That really was. I was 21 and thought this was a very good movie. I cannot remember if it came out before Dragonheart or after. It came out after Dragonheart. Dragonheart was 90s. And Dragonheart also had, or this movie going forward, a lot of people say that Reign of Fire was a bad movie, but it is this movie that made dragons later on the going standard of how dragons breathed fire with two separate glands in the mouth, combined in an exhalation, nitro-napalm. You see it in the Harry Potter films. You see it in other dragon films, with exception to Smaug in the Hobbit films. You do not see, or he breathes fire differently. But yes, ever since Reign of Fire, many other dragon films have used the two glands in the mouth. So a lot of people can shit on Reign of Fire, but yet they have to acknowledge that Reign of Fire set a standard for dragons. And a lot of people can say that the CGI was god awful. Well, if you really pay attention to the CGI, yes, it is awful in the beginning of the movie when the male is woken up. And there is another shot later on that I will discuss later on. But for the most part, this movie has some great CGI. The dragons almost look like they are real in certain scenes. That's not a joke. Now, we also then get introduced to the prayer after they finish the Empire Strikes Back Shakespeare version. And this night prayer is actually pretty good. You used to have your "Now I lay me down to sleep." Well, now, because dragons are running around the world and everybody feels that God has abandoned them, they have a new prayer. What do we do when we wake? Keep both eyes on the sky. What do we do when we sleep? Keep one eye on the sky. What do we do when we see them? Dig hard, dig deep, run for shelter, never look back. This is a touching scene because it really does sell that this community is established and that they have been dealing with this for many years. This is brilliant writing and storytelling, also brilliant directing. Bowman actually did a very good job at selling an apocalyptic future. This movie does a good job with it. So then we see that Eddie has stolen the keys after everybody goes to sleep to go harvesting. And I love how you hear the wind outside, you also hear zipping around, which later on you understand that to be a noise that is dragons flying around and whatnot. So you see, or one of the kids wakes up Quinn, and he's like, he says it's dragon breath. No, it's just the wind. But the kid is too scared, so Quinn lets him into the room to sleep, It's a nice little thing. And then we see that the bird is troubled. So this warns of dragons. Now, also, the guy that runs the scope and the bird helped Eddie leave the freaking compound. It's like, are you serious? You jackass. But he's never held to account for it. Now, we then see the alarm going off, and Eddie is told about Eddie, or Quinn is told about Eddie in the field, and I love how we see how cautious they are in the field, because they know that they cannot stay there for too long, because being out in the open, you're likely to get sniped by a dragon. And it's, hello, Jacob Ironside, good to see you. So, yeah, the atmosphere and setting was set up great. Yes, it was, Jack of all casuals. It really was. I like they called them black and white knights for the kids. I mean, not that they can show them Star Wars on TV. Exactly. So, we then see that it goes very still in the air. And the shot of this bird flying over the harvest area, that bird is fucking massive, man. That bird at least had a 10-foot to 15-foot wingspan. It was huge. And then it diverts off, and, well, now they know that there's a dragon around. So it comes swooping in, and then as it swoops in, it drops its legs, opens, and exposes its chest to breathe fire. That is something that is established in this film. That's how they breathe fire. They always lower their bodies in order to do so and spread their wings out. And you see the dragon also move through the fire and grab a person running as it's flying through. Now, one of the things that it is established is that these dragons feed on ash mostly. That's their primary food. However, they are starving now, and they'll take what they can get, You also see that these dragons are smart. It knows how humans operate, so it will it takes several passes and boxes them in with the fire until Quinn comes in with firefighting equipment, And then we see the CGI for the dragon, this female that drops down. Now, earlier, as I said, the CGI for the male that was awoken is terrible. The CGI for this one, looking at these guys blasting them with fire, that's pretty damn good CGI. It actually is rendered and textured in such a way, it looks like it is in that scene. Really in that scene, like a real dragon just freaking landed and started blasting. This is a movie that did dragons right. Made them into something horrifying. And also something that is really the dominant species of the planet. Humans had no way of fighting them. They tried nukes. It didn't work. You know? So then after the pitched battle with the dragon, because the dragon is so hungry, and the people start driving off, and I love how you also see that Eddie's son Devin got crisped because he was in the front with the hose gun, and, well, the dragon wasn't taking any prisoners. This sucker went to fry, you know? And you see that Eddie wants to leave, and Quinn is constantly holding him back, trying to pull his hand away from the doors and such. So, yes, you learn that the dragon then is looking at them as they're driving off. You don't see it clearly because you only see it through the windows. And it's like it doesn't give a damn about us. It just wants the ash off that field. And the dragon's looking back at him for a little bit and then starts going into the field to feed. And we then see the scene after where it shows that Quinn is questioning himself. Maybe, or now we have less of a crop. We have more than half the crop is gone. How the hell are we all going to survive? They have to ask these questions. It makes you think. It's like, well, now how are they going to survive? This thing just burnt over, or pretty much the whole damn crop. So, yeah. How many kids did that dad lose? 2 kids on the road, plus his other kid, Devin. So 3 kids. And his wife, originally. So, yeah. 3 kids and a wife to the dragons. But Eddie is also responsible for his own son's death because he chose to disobey the community, the greater community. He was thinking about himself and his kids. Yes, that is a valuable sentiment. But when you are a part of a community that is trying to live for as long as possible, he made the mistake and he brought the dragons to them because he was a fool. When it comes to a community that you are a part of, you think of the community over your own personal self. Even in these kind of situations, survival scenarios. And Eddie didn't do that. So, we also hear, or after that scene where he's talking with Gerard Butler, or Creedy, we then get the scene where he's overhearing the radio transmissions from when he was a boy about how places are burning and they don't know what's going on, and that a 12-year-old boy survived, or the sole survivor was a 12-year-old boy from the Inferno of London that kicked off the whole dragon invasion. So then we hear on the radio where they're asking, it's like, I got voices. What are you playing at? I'm not joking, man. Take a look. What are you playing? She's not moving. Use the scope, you wanker. And so the Kentucky Irregulars arrive. And the alarm, checking weapons, and the ammo reserves are virtually non-existent. They're like, spare shells. And there's just like a handful of shells. And they look at each other. We're so fucked, basically. So then Matthew McConaughey comes in. Oh, if there's one thing worse than a dragon, Americans. It's like, and you also then get cut to Denton Van Zandt, who's like, oh, what a dump. Who's in charge? Now, the scene between Denton Van Zandt, Matthew McConaughey, and Christian Bale did a freaking Oscar-worthy performance in this film. I don't care about the Oscar-worthies now. I'm talking about the Oscar-worthy back then when the Oscars were actually worthy of mentioning. They're like, or he tells them that they flew over on 2 engines and crossed the ocean, lost a lot of their men, were trying to refuel and resupply and whatnot. He's like, that's a nice story, especially one about the plane, but that's their territory. There hasn't been anything in the air for 20 years. It's my territory. It's your territory. We're just renting it. Matthew McConaughey plays this role so freaking well. And even Christian Bale's character says it to Creedy. It's like, saw his eyes, Creedy. Now, he thought it was awe, or he thinks it's awe, but it's not. It's madness. But what you see in this man, that this man, you understand that Matthew McConaughey's character, Denton Van Zandt, has seen shit. He has been through the ringer with these dragons. And he has lost so many people. And there's a line in this movie that I really like that is so self-contradicting that, well, it's actually not self-contradicting. It's actually, what's her name? Alex describing it of him. She says he doesn't feel anything. That's why he's able to do what he does. It is very painfully obvious that when you look at Van Zandt, you look at a man who does feel. He just keeps it so down low, so buried deep, that he saves it for a later time. This man has seen dragons, fought dragons, lost so many friends and stuff. You see it in his expression. You see it on him. And that is so well done in this film. And he tells Quinn about Magic Hour. We were in the heart of camp, or we were running from one in Kansas. Twice it flew over us, and twice it missed the heart of us. And that's when I had an epiphany. You see, they have great vision in the day. They have even better vision at night. But in the failing light, they can't focus. Magic Hour. And he shows him the tooth, and he's like, plane was better. Now you're a dragon killer. It's not even original. But after he shows him this and tells him, he's like, Coffeyville, Kansas is actually quite famous. And he tells him about the Dalton boys. Couple of killers, and the townsfolk rose up and brought him down. And Quinn's like, maybe you're the Dalton boys. He's like, no, we're the townsfolk. I didn't get your name, Quinn. And he tells him, you try anything, I will kill you. I mean, this is obviously Quinn trying to look tough because there's a big tank out there and a lot of guns. And they have only the shells in their weapons to fight these, or to fight off that. So, yeah, he lets them in. I mean, I absolutely love when he goes down to meet him, and he's like, it's a big tank. I mean, he's weighing his options. He's like, that's a big tank. So then he goes out to meet him. But, yeah, they let him in. And Creedy's like, have you lost your mind, man? He's like, you weren't there. I mean, they look like a rogue marine. Sure, they may have killed many of dragons in their day, but they also burned half the world with them. You weren't there. I saw his eyes, Creedy. And then you see the helicopter. And they are so stunned to see a freaking helicopter coming in. This is the acting with the reactions. Reactions in a movie tells you everything of how well a role is performed. The way that they react at seeing something like a helicopter, something flying through the air other than a dragon, they react to it so well, you feel like they have actually been in a hell where nothing has flown except for dragons and birds. You understand? They act this so freaking good. Christian Bale, as much as the dude is loony as a freaking kook on the real world, and Matthew McConaughey with him, these two are brilliant freaking actors. They play the roles. They dedicate themselves to the roles so well. From what I hear, also, Matthew McConaughey wanted to be so authentic that even when they weren't shooting for the film, he wanted to be called Denton Van Zandt. He was Van Zandt. I mean, I've heard of other people doing that for their roles and whatnot. That just goes to show that there's a serious dedication to it, to their trade. And this is very done well. Think about the fact that they also flew it across the ocean, actually, not just the sea, the ocean, to get there, yeah. Well, the dragons wouldn't be able to swim out across the ocean. I mean, they'd probably get tired. I mean, the male could probably do it. But the females and whatnot, they probably traveled over, or they probably are traveling along Iceland to Greenland, then down into North America in order to get there that way. Now, we are then introduced to Alex, played by Isabella, Natalia from GoldenEye, and the concept of archangels with the 17-second life expectancy. They're Bola men. And they're like, so you fight dragons? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, well, I guess you would then. I mean, Creedy is just playing this up. It's like, these people are fucking insane. And then we get the second dragon sighting. And the KIs are setting up to bring it down. The Kentucky Irregulars, KI. And they're setting up triangular grid using triangulation for mapping so that Alex in the chopper can see what's going on. Well, we see how this is going. The first and second vertical are up, and the dragon takes out the third person. So then Quinn has to ride out on his big-ass horse and gets the third vertical up. Well, just as the third vertical goes up, we see that the dragon's on a collision course with the helicopter, and they're like, shit! And the guy that is supposed to bait the dragon falls out of the damn chopper and is like, it's on! Go, go, go! So they jump out and they're like, damn it, what's going on? And they're like, angels are flying! Now, it is an interesting idea. And 17 seconds is the life expectancy. And you see that this guy dies. I mean, he craters into the ground and he's dead, clearly. And this dragon, you can see that the dragon's smart. It's chasing after him, and then it pulls up at the last second. It's also able to shake off the nets, or the metal mesh nets that the archangels, Gideon and the other guy, shot at it. So, yeah. You also then see one of the other guys get eaten, and Gideon parachutes it down. Well, now Quinn is riding back, and Denton Van Zandt has it set up to shoot as Quinn gets over the hill. And they bring down this dragon, and she gives a final burst of flame, but she ends up coming down. And you see Denton Van Zandt take a final swing with his axe into it to make sure it's dead. Now, the following scene where it's nighttime and everybody's celebrating that that a dragon has been killed. I mean, I see it from both sides, honestly. I mean, these are people that have been living without hope for a long time. And a dragon has just been brought down. Very bad first impressions for defeating dragons. Yes. But Van Zandt lets them know that. He's wondering why the hell are all these people celebrating. You see it in his eyes. He's wondering what the hell they're doing. And then he comes in. Envy the country that has heroes, huh? And they all celebrate, and he's like, I say pity the country that needs them. What are you all celebrating? 3 men dead, or 1 dragon dead, 3 men, or 1 dragon down, 3 men dead. Oh, yeah. And that way we might be getting somewhere in 320 years. Personally, you all disgust me. We have to, or tomorrow we bury our dead. And he walks away. And this seriously sobers up everybody in there who was dancing, listening to frickin' who was it? The song Fire from, I think it was, I fucking can't remember. But, yeah. Quinn then goes out, basically thinking about riffing into this guy for treating his people like shit. But then he's like, I lead, you follow. And then he tells him, we've tracked the epidemiology of the species, and that is why we're here. We're going to London. And they ask him, you know that one, or you see that one that we brought down, the big bull? She's like, yeah. Well, it wasn't. It was female. We've killed dozens of these things, and what we can surmise is that they're all female. What about you, Quinn? Have you seen the male? I don't know. When I'm running for my life, I don't stop to check the plumbing. I love that line. And he tells him, and he's like, we're going to London. Good luck. It's that way. And he's like, you hearing me, Quinn? I need men. I need soldiers. People from Pembury tried going to London back then, and they disturbed something. And then it backtracked them to their fortress. And you've never seen destruction like that, Van Zandt. 90 of them died, and then it backtracked them to their fortress, basically. He's explaining what the male does. This male is an extremely smart dragon. It is not just a mindless beast. These things have intelligence. How do you think that, or it's not just because they can fly and breathe fire that they're the dominant species at the time, you know? And you understand that why he is so terrified. He doesn't want to go. And Van Zandt tells him, he's like, I got a castle full of people here, or you're not, or so we walk over dead men. Not with my people, you won't. I got a castle full of them, and I'm trying to keep them alive. I knew it was a mistake letting you in. I thought I saw something in your eyes. I thought it was awe, but it's not. It's madness. You're insane. And I want you out of here before you cause more damage. He tells him flat out. He wants him gone. Well, he tells him, look out the window. Eden's not burning, it's burnt. So he leaves, and Alex asks him, she's like, why, or what happened there? Why don't you want to go? My mother, she was a railway engineer. She died there, okay? And Alex surmises, you've seen it, haven't you? Why do you think he's so scared? Why do you think he wants to keep the people there? Because he knows about the male. He's seen the male. He understands these things. He's been studying them for years. Now, obviously, Quint doesn't think about this, nor does he know it. And so he starts drafting people. Doing this little speech, and Quinn goes after him. And it is a very one-sided fight. Freaking Van Zandt beats the shit out of him and is ready to kill him. And he tells him, and as he's yelling, I'll kill you, and whatnot, he then yells out, he's gonna bring it back here. Van Zandt gives him a small look, but still grabs his stuff, and then he's like, we're going to London. He doesn't understand what Quinn is telling him. That if they leave from this location, that male will come back here and destroy the entire place. And it does later in the film. They take 6 people and they leave. And I like how she tells him, she's like, or she gives him some iodine. She also explains to him, yes, it is pretty much Captain Ahab and Moby Dick, but with dragons. And she tells him, he would have killed you. He doesn't feel anything. That's why he's able to do what he does. But yet you see the pain in this man's eyes. You see that he does feel. He just buries it very deep. And it looks like I'm getting a low signal again. Can everybody still hear me loud and clear? Now, let's see here. Can everybody hear me clearly? Still trying to figure that out. Please let me know. Loud and clear? Okay, thank you. Jack of all casuals. So, yes, we then see him using some of the iodine, how it stings and whatnot, and Jared's getting ready to leave, and he's like, you two growing up, say goodbye. And Jared is one of the people, or one of the kids that grew up the longest under Quinn. And Jared feels that it's a waste of time, you know, and he's like, all right, 17 seconds, because the boy wants to be an archangel. Gideon will teach me. He's like, 17 seconds. Did they tell you that's how long they live? Not the good ones. Gideon's an 8-year veteran. He can teach me. He's like, you got a place here, Jared. The crop, or we can rebuild everything. He's like, it's a waste of time, Quinn. All of it. And so he tells him. It's like, well, if you're man enough to talk like that, then you're man enough to live on your own, man. Hey, Latino Slant, good on you. How you doing? And thank you for that. That is that means a lot. Seriously does, man. Good to see you. So Jared takes off. Now, you think he's taking off with the Kentucky Irregulars. And I like this scene where Quinn is watching them go, and Alex flies up with the chopper to a safe distance in front of him, and he gives them a nod. And you see the helicopter kind of give a nod in its own way. I mean, you actually see it dip a little bit in the front and then fly right off. Yeah, I know that's what you meant, Paulie. I know that's what you meant. But thanks for clearing it up. And so then you see the shots of the Kentucky Irregulars rolling out. Well, we then cut to Quinn grabbing some unburnt pieces of the harvest to see what he can salvage from it. And we learn that Jared is still there. And he's like, that dragon smells like shit. Are you going to burn it? He's like, I love it. It keeps them away. They fear they hate the smell of their dead. It's the only thing that scares them. It means they can be killed, essentially. And he's like, I thought I got rid of you for good. Kind of like a nice little joke with the kid. And then we see Quinn later on checking out he checks the plumbing of the dragon that was brought down. He reaches in, pulls out a translucent egg, and he realizes, holy shit, they're right. These things are born, or basically pregnant, and getting ready to spawn over. And this is cut in with the Kentucky Irregulars arriving at night in the outskirts of London. Well, there's a lot of blockage and whatnot on the road, so they can't go any further. They set up the 50 cal and prepare for combat. And as he's saying, nukes didn't do this. Well, what do we do? And boom, you see this big burst of flame. It's like, it knows we're here. It knows you are all there. You're gonna get your asses killed. And it starts flying over. You hear the roar. And one of the things I do like about the dragon roars in this movie, they are so unique. I haven't heard them in anything else. I honestly haven't. I really like the roars of this film for the dragons. So this thing is zipping by. You can hear it zoom, vroom, vroom, overhead, zipping by. And they're like, it's playing with us. It ain't playing with us. It's setting us up. Yeah, it looks like there's a big ass squirrel over across the street. Sorry, that took my attention away. But so then you see the male give off a roar, and you see that Van Zant is just screaming, and he's shooting a shotgun at it. He doesn't fucking care. And it comes up and just starts blasting fire. He gets squirrel. And he just starts the male cooks the entire convoy with one sweep. Just constantly blasting them with fire in one sweep, and then gets up, flies off. And it's like, oh shit, man. Well, Alex has also tried looking by the river for another way to go around, so she wasn't there, luckily. However, the male is following its behavioral pattern. It's going to backtrack where these people have come from. So it now knows that it came from the castle. And Quinn is away from the castle, still looking at the female dragon's remains, when the male crawls up to the fortress, sets up his wings right up to the tower, boom, dead on, just starts blasting flame into it. Complete ambush. The male is destroying any signs of threat to its territory. It knows that this convoy has come from this area, so it will completely destroy that area. So he's riding back, and I love how the horse is riding through, really burning, cindering embers and flames blowing around. So when he gets off the horse, that horse takes off. It's like, my feet are burning here, so I'm not going to stay. And you see the look on Quinn's face. He realizes what just happened. And then he looks again because he hears the noise. And you see, when you look at the male for as small of a time as it is before it swoops down right by him, it's almost as if the male is like, I see you there. Don't ever do that again. Well, you think that it flies off and whatnot. And before the ambush, you also see that Alex came back and is looking for people. And she's like, what happened here? One pass. It flew over just once. What happened to the soldiers? Well, then they also find two survivors. And then they also realize the castle. We need to get back to the castle. Well, you see Creedy and them are getting everybody ready, and that there's this girl who's so scared she won't let go of the wall. And this is actually something that is very good acting, where you see Christian Bale, he's like, let go, let go, let go. He screams at the girl to let go. To basically, it's fierce how he says it. He says it very vehemently. But in this situation, you gotta save the kid, so you need to be a little rough with the voice. And they get them down. He's like, is this everyone? And Creedy tries telling him that don't you dare think about going back up there, Quinn. He's like, there's 65 people still up there, Creedy. I'm going. And Creedy tells him, God damn it, Quinn, don't you dare leave. I'll clean it up. Now, this again was before Gerard Butler became famous. And I gotta say, when his character dies because the male comes back to do one final burst, and Creedy happens to be caught outside of the sheltered area, and the door is flung closed because of the pressure from the fire, Creedy has been killed. He's burnt to a crisp, dead. And that is his best friend. And you see that when he puts his hands on the door, he pulls him away because the door got flash burned. And so he's pounding up against the door screaming Creedy's name. And you also hear the kids start panicking. And he hears this too, and he's broken at this point. Quinn he's hurting, but he also realizes he has to keep these kids calm. So he goes back and he starts beginning the prayer. He can't finish the prayer, so some of the women help the prayer through. And this does calm the kids down. We then see the next day where people are in there trying to open it up. And who is it? Well, it's Van Zandt and Alex and the survivors from the slaughter at the convoy. And Van Zandt tells him, "You were right." And so he salvages what he can from the armory. And he's like, "We got some explosive tips. We can..." And the way I see it, and well, Quinn is loading up his rifle, and he points the rifle right at Van Zandt. And at this point, you actually think that Christian Bale is going to blow Matt McConaughey's head right off, which he is within his rights to do. This man literally just brought ruin to this entire community. He is full within his rights to say, "You fucking did cause this. You're dead." Well, he doesn't. He plays it smart, and but for a second there, you actually think that Christian Bale's actually going to pull that trigger on Matt McConaughey, and he's like, "You, me, and Alex in the chopper. We stay tight to the cliffs. The Thames will lead us right into the heart of London. You say that, or you say magic hour. That's when they're weakest. We'll see if you're right." And so they plan it. They go in. They land their chopper, and they crawl up some stairs and see that there's a bunch of dragons just perched. That scene where you see the size comparison of the females all swarming after and the male coming out, it's like, holy shit, that thing is huge. I mean, this thing is like literally, I don't know. Well, the best way to describe it would be one of those small action figures that are about 6 inches compared 6 to 12 inches compared to an actual person. Like, this thing is like 6 to 8 times bigger than the normal dragon or than the females. And it rips into another female. All the other females are swarming out and trying to get the hell out of there because, well, they're starving. And the male's hungry. So he grabs the female and kills her and starts eating her. And I love the line that Alex gave. She's like, it's hundreds to 3. And, well, then after that happens, it's like, well, look on the bright side. Now we have him outnumbered 3 to 1. So they start moving in, but you then get a shot of the dragon POV, and how it kind of also has binocular zoom vision, and it sees that, well, there are trespassers in its territory. So as they get into the tunnels, they then realize that, or the male basically announces it knows something's up. And they end up crawling up the elevator shaft from the beginning of the movie where Quinn remembers the awakening of the male. And I love how Van Zandt tells him, he's like, "Quinn, use it." And you see the look of rage on Quinn's face as he climbs up there. It really is. I mean, the acting in this film is just that top quality, you know? So we then get into the square where they take on the dragon. And I love how they race up a overturned and crashed trolley cart, and he gives Van Zant has this whiskey flask that he drinks, and he tosses it to Quinn, and Quinn takes a thing. He's like, "What? This is water. Keep it. You're gonna need it." And he just swigs it up. I have one of those kind of swig flasks. I can't remember where it is right now, but I still have one. Not for whiskey. I use it for other things too. I mean, if I'm out hiking, which there's a hiking mountain right outside my door, yeah, it comes in handy. But I just love that. It's water. He's like, keep it. You're going to need it. I mean, I just love that scene. For some reason, that scene just is so freaking great in the middle of this film. It's a small little comedic moment in the most serious of situations. So it's done right, however, because you see that he's telling them, you got 50 feet of clearance with this arrow. You got to be in the heart of the furnace when you fire this thing. And when you do not hesitate. If you do, we die. And I'm going to flush it out. We're then going to have a clear shot at it. You know? Well, every plan is only as good as it until it starts to get executed. Quinn loses his arrows, and Van Zant is the only smart one to climb the damn tower. And then he tells Alex to go while she still has a 12-second window to get to her position. Well, she's about to get eaten. And so Van Zant has to get the attention of the male. And he fires the arrow, and the male is smart enough to just blast with a quick jet of flame. However, it's still not quick enough because it gets half its face scored, burnt. However, it did also piss off the thing, and it's cindering wings and whatnot. And he gets up with his axe, and he does the dive, man. Everybody sees it in the trailer where he's going at it, ready to swing the axe, and the dragon kills him. It's like that is the most anticlimactic part of this entire film. It's like, come on, man. You thought Van Zant was going to be the one to kill this fucker. But he gets eaten, sadly. And so they manage to get the arrow again, but the male is coming in. Now, there is this shot during the time when they're running away from the male where the way the camera moves a little bit like this and then moves, that's indicative to how the camera was moving when you see the male chasing after him, smacking a vehicle aside with its head. They cut back to them, and then they cut back to just this empty shot with just this place where the male should have been. There's no dragon there. This is one of the biggest flaws of the film. They literally had an incomplete shot in this film. Sucks. Now, that is a big chunk of objective standard that is taken off of the score, mind you. And I will explain later. Now, we also then see that he needs to load up the crossbow for the explosive head, and the male is coming in. So Alex, who had a twisted ankle, is now running, shooting at it with a automatic rifle. You see a little bit of a reaction. That's the thing that I also do like, is when they shoot at the male, it does react. It does kind of move its head like this. It's like, okay, that hurt. Get the hell away. Stop it. And then you get the showdown between Quinn and the male, the bull. And it's a nice little showdown at first. Who's going to make the first move? Well, as soon as the dragon starts to move, Quinn fires that arrow. He doesn't hesitate. Good man. And as the dragon starts to try to shoot its flame, it ends up igniting on, or the C4 tip goes off in its chest, blasting the thing, killing it. Well, now the male's dead. and the male's dead, and everybody can rejoice. Well, there's only 2 people alive in the heart of London right now. So we skip ahead a few months, and I can't remember, but I did look at the film again, last night, and I could have sworn that the way that she was acting, the way that Alex was acting, she was pregnant. I just feel that I think she was actually pregnant, and they're setting up a radio tower, and Jared's riding up with the horse. They're like, we got voices. They're speaking French. Well, what's the problem? They're speaking French. Well, don't look at me. I'm lousy at French. They want to speak to the person in charge. Well, that would be you then. Get us a bottle of wine or something. And then they're talking about, well, it's been a few months since we've seen the last one, so they're starving. The dragons can't reproduce anymore because the main male has been killed, and no eggs can be fertilized. So even if another male has been laid, or another male or an egg for a male has been laid, the male can't be, or the fertilization can't occur. So yes, the dragon, or the cycle of dragons, has been ended. And I like how it's kind of left open a little bit, but it's also conclusive. So when they're walking back together, and you also see that he has Van Zant's axe, which is a freaking scythe axe kind of thing. Actually, I have a photo somewhere where I can actually pull it up. Let's see here. I'm going to have to go deep into my files here. What's his name? Well, that's... Yeah. Hold on a minute. Back there. MCU characters. Austin. I believe... What was his name? The serpent from Marvel's Avengers Alliance, Cull. So go to C. And shit, I don't have it. Thought I did. Oh well, shit happens. Well, maybe I have it into W's because I would have put it in. Made sure that they're all able to be grouped together. And I don't. God dang it. Oh well, shit happens. But basically, there's a small axe blade on one side and a sweeping scythe on the other side of the axe. It's a pretty cool looking axe. Well, actually, I could search it. So, Van Zan's axe. Images. There we go. Holy crap, they actually have that axe for sale. That is pretty cool. But yeah, it's like a pickaxe, really. So let me just share this up. There we go. StreamYard, share, screen, Chrome tab. Yep. Yeah. This is the axe. Right here. I mean, I'd love to have something like that. That just looks freaking awesome. I mean, especially if you want to kill or if you want to kill a dragon or something, you never know, right? So, and that's the end of the movie. But yeah, objectively, this movie has problems. Objectively, this movie definitely has some problems. And because of its problems, where it has some very bad CGI in some shots, like the beginning where the male wakes up, how you have a whole dragon missing in the climax of the movie. I mean, they literally just shoot just a blank area of the strait where the dragon was supposed to be coming through. And yeah, I mean, those kind of really bad CGI. So I would say this movie is about a 7 out of 10. Objectively, I mean, that bad CGI and plus a whole freaking 5-second cut of the film where that male dragon is supposed to be in the film is not there. So yeah, it just goes to show that there was a problem in this film. It's like, did you guys forget to put the dragon in the movie? How you doing, MJ Media? Good to see you. This movie does not need a sequel. No, it really doesn't. This movie is a perfect one-off. Now, what they should do is make a prequel if they do anything. However, I would not want them to make a prequel. There's a video game called Reign of Fire that basically has the war with the dragons, and where you can actually play the dragons, which is pretty cool. But yes, objectively, Reign of Fire, the film, is about a 7 out of 10. This film is good. However, with a couple of CGI, or with a few bad CGI shots, and a really bad missing shot of the male, this movie drops down to a 7. The acting, the score, the direction, the production, all of that, the sound quality, the sound effects, the freaking setting is all great. It's just that those two parts really did this movie in on an objective standard. I'll be generous and I'll probably bump it up to a 7.5 out of 10. Now, subjectively, 9 out of 10. That one empty shot without the male at the end, I mean, I can overlook the bad CGI in the beginning, plus the misalignment of the fluid blast, but that one missing shot takes away a point. It really does. Moviegoer, if you like dragons, if you like action, if you like a monster flick with dragons burning the world to shit, this movie is for you. I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, there is some stuff that you feel just might not be really necessary for the film, but for the most part, this film is so freaking great. I loved it. And I honestly think that people who rag on it, sure, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but I believe that this movie was done good and that the CGI, for the most part, was done rather well, especially with the high definition conversion. It really does work for most of the film, except for in the beginning, where the dragon is in the cave and they kind of light from underneath, and I was like, that just doesn't look right, you know? And it looks more mystical in its face, the dragon, than it does later on. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this mystery review. The hints for next week are bad reboots and vampires. Those are your hints for next week's film. This film had some bad reboots, and vampires are a part of the film. Hope to see you all. I will give a final hint next week. Also, if you want to be on my channel with the mystery, or not mystery reviews, but for the guest choice reviews, hit me up. I am on Twitter and Facebook. I have no problems setting it up for your convenience. It is you pick the movie, date, and time, and all that's left is that you come onto my channel to do it. So if you guys want to do any guest choice reviews, let me know ahead of time. Thursday through, or evening Thursday through Monday, the end of this weekend, or Sunday, I am completely open for anything. If anybody wants to do anything, I'll probably be jumping on a few streams myself. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. Next week's mystery review will be much the same. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Smash that like button if you like the stream. If you didn't, it's fine. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know what you thought about Reign of Fire in the comment section below. This has been Orange Hat Reviews, folks. Stay humble.